Would you kindly like, comment, and subscribe? Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we are playing with Talion, the Kindly Lord. Now this is a 3/4 flyer at base stats, but it is 4 mana, which is pretty expensive by Legacy standards. Now as, notably not when, so this isn't an ETB trigger, it just happens, as it enters the battlefield, choose a number between 1 and 10. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with that mana value, that power, or that toughness, they lose 2 life and you draw a card. So our general concept today is that we are going to attempt to Dark Ritual out Talion the Kindly Lord, or use other mana acceleration like Lotus Petal to power this out and treat this kind of like another copy of something like Sheoldred the Apocalypse. And while Sheoldred started out as kind of a fringe legacy card, he's very much solidified to like a commonly played card in multiple different tier 1 or close to it legacy deck lists. So we are going to try to ramp into either Sheoldred or Talion in each one of these games, and we're going to see how viable this ends up being. This is going to be one of those days where this deck list is basically completely untested. So let's take a look at what I was originally sent, and then we'll take a look at my changes to the deck list. Now, today's video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., Moxfield.com, as well as Eminence Gaming. As always, consider checking out Eminence Gaming if you are at all interested in cEDH. It is an awesome format, and they're going to be putting on a sweet tournament series that covers a lot of different stores. More on that soon. And if you need paper Magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. So, this is Adam's original deck list, and Adam has sort of goldfished this, but not actually played any real games with it. I think what is being presented here is fine, but I have some issues with it. Number one, we can't interact with creatures, basically. Like, our plan is counter things or discard things, but once something is in play, it's just like there forever, and I think that's going to be pretty rough. Number two, I don't think you get away with Wasteland in a mana base that really requires turn 1 Dark Ritual, while also requiring turn 1 Ponder, and like black, black, and blue, blue. Wasteland also doesn't contribute to Daze here. And on that note, I don't even know that Daze fits in the deck list, right? Because while it sounds fun in theory to like play a turn 1 Talion and then protect it via Daze, I think the reality more frequently is going to be you use a turn or two to set up, and the Daze returns a land, keeping you from casting one of your 4-drops. I also think that 15 lands is pushing it in a deck that might need to cast multiple 4-drops in a game. So let's take a look at what I came up with. My biggest issue was that I was having trouble fitting everything into the deck list, and I want to stay faithful to Adam's original vision, while I think giving me more options for assorted matchups. So thing number one I did was I added a few removal spells to the main deck, and this is one that can cover, Bowmasters while also hitting planeswalkers like Minsc and Boo. I think I needed some sort of Sheoldred's Edict or Brazen Borrower effect in the deck list, just full stop. I have upped the land count to 17 over 15, and I'm hoping that that is now going to be enough. And I've added Thoughtseize to the sideboard. I really wanted to fit this into the main deck, but I couldn't really figure out how to get removal and this discard into the main deck, so I think we're just going to kind of have Grief be enough. Bowmasters was something that I still wanted, mostly because the best answer to Bowmasters is Bowmasters. But I didn't know that we really felt like the best Bowmasters deck list, so I've tried moving those to the sideboard as well. I've goldfished this a handful of times. It felt like I was playing with a legacy power level deck. We've got 4 removal spells in the main deck now, counting this Fatal Push as well. We've got 4 pieces of discard, 4 counter spells, 7 major threats. with Troll and Grief being sort of the secondary threats with Reanimate. One other note, Adam's original build only had 3 copies of this card, which honestly is probably correct, but, you know, people are here to see the thing in the thumbnail, right? So I've cranked it up to 4 so we can get a feel for how strong this actually is in practice. I've seen a little bit of hubbub about Talion in cEDH, so, you know, maybe there's something there in terms of power level. I imagine most of the time we're going to end up choosing 1 for this because, you know, cantrips and mana efficiency are a thing. But in some fair creature matchups, that might actually be a different number. All right. I don't know if this is going to be a disaster or not, but let's battle and see how it goes. Okay, this can deploy a Talion on turn 3, but does not do anything else. I think it would be most likely that I would end up having to Force of Will something with this hand, and then this is actually just a effective 0-card hand. It's just 4 mana sources beyond that. I'm going to try to fish for something stronger. Well, I think we believe in the cantrips and probably keep this pitching either Lotus Petal or land. I think Lotus Petal. I think the Turbo Dream is probably gone with this hand. Okay. I know that I am pondering for a finisher of some kind. I'm going to be looking for a Sheoldred or a Talion, so I'm just going to start fishing for one of those 2. This is kind of fine, but it just ends up going through all of these cards. I think I'm just going to finishing my thought. Anything except a land is probably better than those cards. Thoughtseize is rough. I probably lose Force of Will in a combo matchup here, although this is a very strong Brainstorm. And my opponent agrees. All right. Well, we don't have a lot going on now. Verdant Catacombs. Are we storming? Grixis control? Faithless Looting. Oh, is this just a splash land for Reanimator? Yeah, this is just a splash land for Reanimator. Okay. Archon of Cruelty is going to occur. So that hits play. We'll edict this away, sack a non-token creature. Get out. I think I discard a basic swamp. Also, there's an argument to not remove that until end of turn, so that my opponent can't just go Lotus Petal, Reanimate, and do it again. That's a thing that I could have considered. I don't know whether or not my opponent actually has any counter spells. I'm guessing this is just a splash land for the purposes of show and tell. All right, my Force of Will is gone, and it looks like my opponent's just going again. That is an Exhume. Yep. We have 2 more outs to an Archon of Cruelty. That is not one of them. I just lose this card to this attacking and take 9. Doesn't leave me with a lot of life. I'm not technically dead. I think I'm okay showing my opponent a Talion in order to try to draw towards one of the remaining 2 copies of Sheoldred's Edict. But it does not feel good. All right, I'm at 3. Another land drop into... Oh, just flashback looting? Okay, no follow-up from there. I'm not going to crack this because, like, cantrip chaining can matter. Nope. We're dead. So I have Surgicals and Thoughtseizes for this matchup, with Orcish Bowmasters being something reasonable that I could think about playing. One of the biggest things that I really want to do is just reanimate my opponent's creature. So Fatal Push isn't particularly strong here. Trolls are awkward. Trolls are like very awkward because it gives my opponent reanimation targets, but they also do things with Exhume. So that's a thing too. I guess I want to think about whether or not I want to try to answer the creature once it's in play, or if the plan is fully stop my opponent from producing a creature. If I'm going to sideboard in this many cards, I might need to cut the edicts and just say the plan is stop it from happening in the first place. I'll probably go down some number of Sheoldreds. Like, I am intending on reanimating my opponent's creatures some portion of the time. I have to keep Talion. Talion is blue for my Force of Will count. Maybe I just go down a Lotus Petal at that point. This hand does not do anything immediately, I can attempt to brainstorm into something and make this hand better at the cost of Lotus Petal. But I think I have good enough hands that I just ship it. This can Thoughtseize my opponent and then grief my opponent, but then I actually don't have anything to do. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of these two as 6. It's just worse than a Reanimate hand. It might be. I feel like I lose this one. Like, I feel like I make my opponent discard some stuff, and it's not enough. I'm gonna try it though. Let's Thoughtseize. My opponent's mulliganed once. Yeah, awkward. I could take Entomb and Thoughtseize in this turn cycle, and then they could on turn 2 animate dead my grief, and maybe not take anything. Could also just let them Thoughtseize a grief. It's just awkward if they Thoughtseize themselves and take the Archon. I think they Thoughtseize me, though. Let's see how this ends up working. I just don't want to 2-for-1 myself to take Thoughtseize if they're just going to cast it targeting me anyway. Oh no, they are targeting themselves. Alright, animate to dead and exhume. So now a piece of discard doesn't actually stop that. Well, that'll work, I guess. Grab C. Thoughtseize target you. Take animate dead. Grief target you. Take exhume. And now we are playing this game of which one of us top decks a reanimation spell first. I have cantrips to look for mine. They're a reanimator deck. So, you know, it's spooky. I'm largely dead if the Archon hits play, as I have sideboarded out my edicts. Are we lucky? We are not lucky. Yeah, so I get to grief my opponent. Unfortunately, my trigger goes on the stack first. So they have no cards at this time to take. I sacrifice this. I get rid of this. And I think we're donezo. Especially after whiffing on that draw there. We take 9 on this turn cycle, are dead the following turn. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I personally keep all of my deck lists for every format on this site. I love that I can go and sort them by types and tags if I need to. There's a lot of different viewing options. It can give you some math about your mana symbol, your curve, and you can even playtest and do sample opening hands with it. Check this site out if you haven't before. It's awesome. So I could keep this looking specifically for the card Reanimate, but unless I hit Reanimate in 4 looks or my draw step, this hand's basically unplayable. Let's try to fish for something that does the thing. This does not do anything. This gets draw step and brainstorm in order to find Talion or Sheoldred to do something relatively strong. I'm going to say on 6, that's fine. And we'll see how this goes. Womp. Okay, that's rough. My hand does nothing now. They take the brainstorm, and I am running on fumes immediately as of turn 1. Oh, fuck yeah. Super happy to see that. My opponent did not take the brainstorm when it was very clearly the best card in the hand. That gives me Orcish Bowmasters vibes, so I think I just sorcery speed brainstorm with the intention of upkeep fetching with Troll. Ooh. What am I doing next turn? Just Dark Ritual Talion? Or Grief Reanimate? Like, basically, what card am I hiding on top of my library? I don't think I am doing this Troll Shuffle anymore. I think I just want to play Talion next turn. I think I hide that. I'm going to wait a turn to Grief. I would like to Grief immediately before playing Talion. It's awkward if my opponent is like Mono Black Beseech. But if they're just going to use their turn to play a Delphi Voidwalker or whatever, it just doesn't matter. Agadeem the Undercrypt. Yep, okay. Just kind of as planned here. So, do I need to Grief? I think I'll still Grief. Am I pitching Reanimate? No, I'll pitch Troll. Elm and Beseech. That is mighty rude. I guess the Beseech comes at a cost that the Helm doesn't. This requires sacking an artifact. We'll take Helm, cast Dark Writ, and play Talion. We'll choose 4, because we can get two triggers of this off of Beseech into Mirror. Alright, there's the land drop. And we're going to be trading 3 damage back and forth a few times. See kind of how things end up going. My Reanimate's not good right now. Not that my Troll would have been either. I am winning the race in terms of damage, and my opponent's combo turn costs them 4 life and draws me 2 cards, which is especially scary since like their combo is currently fragile. So I'm going to get to draw 2 cards. I'll have 2 looks at Force of Will blue card, or alternatively just an Edict or Fatal Push. Alright, so Talion trigger. Grief's not going to do it. Oh, they're going for Karn instead. Okay. Resolves. You're just going to tutor up a Helm. This just gives me another turn to answer this Dauthi Voidwalker. It does sort of humorously shut off my Lotus Petal. I'm at 14. Alright, my opponent is just plussing. Alright, let's draw something relevant here. Second Lotus Petal is fucking cruel. We will go ahead and attack my opponent directly. We're not killing that Karn this game. My opponent has 0 cards. Griefing doesn't make sense. I'm going to try to put the fear in my opponent, though. I'm going to like start casting something and just kind of undo it. Just play the mind game here. And look like I changed my mind. I think they just have to go for it 100% of the time anyway. And we just get 1 draw towards an Edict to kill my opponent. Alright, here's the tutor. I guess my opponent also doesn't have the guaranteed 5th mana, huh? Yeah, they are going for an Ensnaring Bridge. They missed a Dauthi Voidwalker attack, potentially. Is there anything good under there? Dark Ritual and Grief. Sure. Are you going to grief me in my draw step? Negative? I guess I'm taking my opponent's card. Feels a little weird. But I don't think I'm going to stack up 3 cards in my opponent's hand that they just can't cast. Because they just have Helm kill as soon as they get 1 more mana. So I think in case that card is something like a Beseech that... maybe I don't do this because it stops Helm. Right? Like, or sorry, it stops draw Helm as a thing. Yeah, maybe I don't do this. No, quick correction from a minute ago. Opponent just randomly stopped in my draw step, so I thought they were going to activate this. Dauthi Voidwalker does not change timing restrictions, so you still have to play it when you normally could. The opponent can't grief me in my draw step. It is a Palantir, sure. That is going to kill you. I choose draw, you are at 3 cards, I attack you for 3. That was a very bad play unless you've got something else that is not currently showing. Like if you just cast a Dark Ritual or something so I can't attack, like, cool. You may draw a card. Yeah, they're just stopping in my draw step. Okay. So do I not get to see what you chose? Okay. That's fine. I'm supposed to be able to see that choice. Okay, sure. You may ping me. I think I still don't play Grief. I can play Dauthi Voidwalker, though. Off Reanimate. That makes it so that if my opponent ever slips, I just have lethal over 2 bodies. That sounds good. Alright, that's turn. My opponent now also doesn't have onboard Helm Kill anymore, because they got rid of their Dauthi Voidwalker. So it's not like death is imminent anymore. There's a Leyline of the Void, which costs my opponent some life. The Edict's fine. So I let my opponent draw another card at end of turn, and then I have lethal across 2 different bodies. Okay, unless that happens. Is this the point where I just edict my opponent's Planeswalker while they don't have priority to activate Karn and find a Helm? What do I have in my sideboard that's an artifact, actually? Null Rod? Fuck yeah. Okay, yeah. Why don't you sacrifice a Planeswalker? Alright, Karn is gone. See if my opponent imprints with Chrome Mox or not. They do not. End of turn, I'll let my opponent draw a card. Take it. So now we will sacrifice this. Use Karn. Cast Karn without paying its mana cost, shutting off 3 of my opponent's mana sources, as well as Helm. Let's minus Karn. Pick up Null Rod. Let's Grief. I think I want the extra body in play to protect this Karn. Beseech Dimir and Hymn to Turok. I'll take the Beseech. Let's Lotus Petal. I think I want to save this fetch land. So I will double Lotus Petal here. And Null Rod. Yep, you can take my Ponder. I don't really plan on casting that into Bowmaster anyway. You may draw a card. So, let's just confirm. I can get another Null Rod, but my opponent shouldn't really be able to remove that. So let's just start. In the not too distant future, I could attack with a Null Rod if I remove this Orc token. But let's start just taking these things out. And hopefully at some point we just get a couple of 4-drops locked in my opponent's hand and I can swing for lethal. I think I had no business winning this game. Not that it's over, but it is trending strongly in my direction. Sure. Opposition agent. Okay. I'll pick up another land. You can draw a card. If I draw a troll, it is now hard castable, which is nice. I don't think I'm interested in making this creature larger. I don't think I'll ponder. We'll just continue to destroy these mana sources for if Karn somehow ends up leaving play. And again, all we need is one more expensive card to get locked in my opponent's hand, and one of these swings is lethal. We're hoping to dodge draws like Chrome Mox that can just take multiple cards out of hand at the same time. Alright. A Douthie Voidwalker. Sure. Douthie Voidwalker is a little annoying. It has Shadow specifically, so my blockers don't stop it. A Dark Ritual. Not what I'm looking for. We'll plus on the Chrome Mox. At this point, I'm hoping my opponent doesn't see the good line. The good line is attack with Douthie Voidwalker while you still have 3 cards in hand, and then play cards so I can't attack back. That's the good line. They do not see it, so I am thankful for that. We are unfortunately still here in this game, though. We'll do the Palantir dance again. You get to draw your cards. And I will just keep nuking these things. Next turn, I probably get a second Null Rod. Yep, that's fine. I'm going to be sad if we lose this one. Okay, that's fine. I'll just keep feeding you cards. You have to show me that you can demonstrate the ability to win. Which you have not done yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can play another Null Rod while still having Force of Will available, for the most part. Minus. Yes. Null Rod. We'll use Underground Seas for this. If I absolutely have to, I can Dark Ritual to Force of Will. Douthie Voidwalker, sure. Are you griefing? That costs 4, friend. I guess the Bowmaster triggers are relevant. Alright, these are going at face. Sure. Alright. My opponent is at 1. I probably just don't tell them what's in my hand here. I think I would like them to live in the fear. The Orc Army token, because of those Bowmaster pings, is now outside of range of attacking for Ensnaring Bridge reasonably. And my opponent also dropped their shadow creature that could attack through their ensnaring bridge playing Sword and Shield. So they now can't cast another Leyline Helm or Karn. Yep. So, Palantir trigger. You may draw a card. That is 3 cards in hand. It is a Reanimate. Reanimate can get Dauthi Voidwalker. I would love a Reanimate to get a Bowmaster and just kill my opponent. That would be cool. Let's go to combat. It really only makes sense to attack with Talion, I think. Well, we won. We won. So I care about my opponent's Orcish Bowmasters, which probably means that I play my own Orcish Bowmasters. I care about Nullrod. Thoughtseize and Plague Engineer are also reasonable. Like, I have a lot of things. Basically, the things that aren't Surgical Extraction are reasonable in this matchup. Talion and Sheoldred are very good against my opponent trying to hide behind an ensnaring bridge like they did this game. I think I'm kind of off my Reanimate plan. Like, the Reanimates were definitely relevant in this game. They gave me Dauthi Voidwalker, which gave me Karn. But now that my Nullrods are going to be sideboarded in, that's not really what I want to be doing anymore. Maybe I'm not really on Grief. Like, if I cut the entire scam package, does that get me all of this? That would get me all of that. Nullrod alongside Lotus Petal is a little weird. And I'm Threat Light. It's very much like Sheoldred and Talion are the plan. Is this fine? Feels weird. I think it's okay for the game that I'm on the draw. The game that I'm on the play, like maybe I think about Grief, Reanimate, nonsense. This is a turn 2 Talion with a turn 1 Thoughtseize. Yep, this is quite good. Alright, my opponent mulliganed once and capped. We're hoping to avoid turn 1 Opposition Agent mostly. Like, Dark Ritual Opposition Agent is a thing that could happen. I still think I'm probably supposed to fetch on turn 1, though, to play around Opposition Agent on turns that aren't this turn. Slightly awkward, but I think I'm supposed to do it. Let's Thoughtseize. I guess my opponent showed me Wasteland. I could get basic Swamp on turn 1. Yeah, there's Wasteland. I guess Dark Ritual is the thing that I take. I don't know, if I take the Turok, the Dark Ritual doesn't immediately do anything. Yeah, maybe I'll take the Turok here. I regret not getting Swamp. I just thought about it a little too late. I don't really think this deck is supposed to be playing Wasteland, for what it's worth. I think it works against the heavy black pips of the deck. Alright, we'll play Polluted Delta and pass. I'll fetch in my opponent's upkeep. We'll fetch. I will grab the basic this time. And I've got guaranteed Sheoldred or Talion the next turn. There's Dauthi Voidwalker. Sure. And now I have to decide whether I like Talion or Sheoldred better. Sheoldred clocks harder. That's probably the one that I play first accordingly. Sheoldred is just 6 damage per turn cycle guaranteed. So, Dark Writ. Sheoldred. I don't think I want to show the Lotus Petal to have the opportunity to brainstorm for Force of Will. Actually, no, I think I am supposed to, because Dark Ritual, Land, and Helm as my opponent's 3 unknown cards can kill me. So I was supposed to play Lotus Petal. Sure. Alright, that takes Talion. Sheoldred's Edict is strong. Sure. Yeah, I think my opponent is now supposed to get one of those 2 cards. Probably Sheoldred. Sheoldred is just much stronger with Brainstorm in play here. Yeah, so I was supposed to play out the Lotus Petal, I think. I could have brainstormed in response to this nonsense and been a little more set up to deal with it. Alright. I am perfectly happy casting a Ponder into Sheoldred. Like, that's fine. It doesn't feel good. Yeah, Sheoldred's Edict is great. Bam. 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 No shuffle. Yep. And then we'll Petal and Edict that. Sacrifice a non-token creature. And then next turn, I get to make my 3rd land drop and work towards finding something else good. My opponent's 1 unknown card could be Bowmasters. And it sucks if that's the case. It was not. So we'll put back land, and I think I just hold this Force of Will plus Brainstorm. And we'll get a little deeper and then Brainstorm again. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, again, my opponent wants to be playing 4-drops, and they've wastelanded me twice, which takes them off of their ability to play their best cards. I don't think this deck wants wasteland. I think it is very actively bad. All right, there's the 4th land drop. My opponent does not have a 4-drop to play. I'm just going to keep making land drops here. I just want to be able to Force of Will a relevant play from my opponent. I would prefer to hardcast that Force of Will and be able to Brainstorm a little bit later, or be able to Brainstorm once I have Force of Will back up for a Bowmaster. Okay, yeah. So Force of Will is now hardcastable. Sure. Ponder? Ponder's fine. Like, I Force of Will. Oh. Opponent just F6'd. Okay. That feels sloppy. So let's go 1, 2, 3. No shuffle. Play Plague Engineer on Orc. Call it a turn. I'll draw my Orcish Bowmasters, and then I'll shuffle the land that's under all of that. Fantastic. Send in for 2. Opponent's at 14. So I'm not sure if my opponent has like situational cards over there or what. They kicked Turok. Yeah, we'll say no to that. Grab a swamp and just prevent my opponent from him to Turoking me. Sure. So my cantrips are safe as long as I have Orcish Bowmasters and Plague Engineer here. I think I'm going to ponder looking for a 4-drop. Nope. I'll shuffle. Things are safe. I'm okay brainstorming here accordingly. Oh. Well, we're redrawing all of these. I will put back Dark Ritual and Force of Will. So I play Orcish Bowmasters end of turn to increase my clock, and then I am sitting on 3 Force of Wills. So every turn except this one here, I will have Hardcast Force of Will and Pitch Force of Will available at the same time. So we will go ahead and end of turn Bowmaster. Ping my opponent. Got 4 damage a turn with many counterspells to back it up. Send him. No opposition agent or anything. Opponent's at 7. That's a land. You may Chrome Mox. You may absolutely Chrome Mox. Imprinting a castable and actively good Magic the Gathering card. Sure. We'll attack my opponent again. They're at 3. We'll play a land drop and hopefully finish off my opponent here. That's an opposition agent. We're, presenting lethal here, and I have 2 counter spells, and my opponent has 2 spells in hand, so, So, this round is a great example of how much your individual decisions do matter over the course of a match. My opponent had an opportunity to win the game, chose not to, and then did not accurately play towards their outs. And I should not have won at least one of those games. Like, unquestionably. Your little decisions matter so much in Legacy. And even when you're pretty sure you're dead, sometimes you can wiggle out. Well, this opening hand does not get to that 4th mana for Sheoldred, and does not have blue mana. We're going to mulligan this. My opponent says they've got a spicy one. Happy to hear it. This second hand is probably fine. I probably keep pitching the Troll in hopes of drawing or cantripping toward the 3rd land to play out Talion. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Vault of Whispers with Baubles. Are we beseeching? It's a lot of damage. I don't think that's worth a counterspell. But that's a lot of damage. Okay. I accept. Another Talion is a little rough. But I guess it's Force of Will fodder. Oh, I am not happy about Urza Saga. I'm not super good against that. That makes me nervous. Because, like, the baubles instantly just represent a lot of damage, right? And their redraws. I don't like this. That is, I think, more damage than Ankh of Mishra over the course of this game. Land, 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 land. Fuck. Uh-oh, folks. Ooh, I'm not sure if my opponent is supposed to be cracking those baubles, because those baubles are points of damage with Urza Saga. But I don't know their deck. So I can't say for sure. Oh. That's kind of like a land. Ugh. Alright. Underground Sea. Take 2. Swamp Cycle. Underground Sea. Take 2. Next turn, I can play Talion. But this Urza Saga is some shit. Like, it's 2 tokens. I think the fact that I missed on that 3rd land drop means that I'm just dead here. Yeah. Take 9 here. Playing another land kills me. Alright. We're done. Give me my Null Rods. So I don't know whether or not my opponent's playing Orcish Bowmasters. It seems reasonable that they might be. I don't want Thoughtseize. Reanimate's a little scary, but maybe still important. It might just be 3 Null Rods. I can think about the extra bodies, though. I don't have anything that makes me better against Urza's Saga. The original build of this deck did have 2 Wastelands, but again, I think they're tough on the mana. Null Rods in, 3 Lotus Petal out. Maybe 4th Lotus Petal out, play one of these Plague Engineers as a Death Toucher. I could play Bowmasters too. So we've got the Null Rod. And I've got the Null Rod backed by Force of Will and Grief. I am going to keep this and kind of hope that I don't have to Force of Will anything, that just griefing something is good enough for me to make it to turn 2. Awkward. So which way do I want to do this? Which thing deals me the most points of damage over time? Maybe Ankh? That's just castable off City of Traders. I think it's Ankh. I don't think I'm too worried about Black Vice in particular. So there's a real argument to just Force of Will this card, but I would really like to just hardcast Talion a few turns down the line. So I think I'm not going to. Yep. Oh, nice. We'll double fetch Underground Seas. That puts me to 18. And then we drop this here Null Rod. Yeah. The Drain one is good. We're basically now looking to dodge Urza's Saga. Urza's Saga is something that I cannot Force of Will, and that Null Rod doesn't interact with, and my opponent already has this City of Traders. Okay. I'm not sure if you're supposed to play this City of Traders this turn because of how important Urza's Saga is to your outs of winning the game. I'm at 16. So the way Black Vice works, it deals X damage to that player, me, where X is the number of cards in my hand minus 4. I have 3 cards in my hand, minus 4, -1. It does nothing unless I stock up on cards. Which, you know, could happen if I just draw all 4 drops and Force of Wills, but we're not expecting that to really be the case. Ooh. Hold on now. What's this? Lodestone Golem. That gets a hard nope from me. Goodbye. Disciple's still gonna be out there doing work. Opponent's deck is cool. My opponent probably can't take a Null Rod out of play. But considering that there's a Black Vice in play, and I am incentivized to not have cards in my hand, I'm just gonna use my mana. So now that I know that Disciple of the Vault is in here, Plague Engineer and Orcish Bowmasters now look a lot better than they did while I was sideboarding for the first game. All right. A kingdom for a dark ritual. Just need to put this Sheoldred into play. I'm at 12. I mean, this is at least moving in the right direction. Now, one land drop gets me either of these cards, or even both. All right, there's the Urza Saga. Now, my opponent is going to need... Oh. Etched Champion. No. You do not get protection from all colors nonsense. All right, let's just dismiss that. I know that's there. I'm at 10. All right, fantastic. Quadruple black, we play Sheoldred. We're good unless my opponent has a third soul land to start activating Urza's Saga, in which case the game is still a bit dicey. Okay, they didn't. Yeah, so I wonder if my opponent plays this game a little more patiently, and then they play Urza Saga followed by City of Traders. I wonder if they win this one. I understand using the first one to attempt Lodestone Golem, but I wonder if they're supposed to try to wait out the second one. Like, there's a lot of appeal to playing this card, though. So, like, I don't think it's a right or wrong situation at all. So I'm not sure how good the whole Reanimate package is against this opponent, because my individual life points matter a whole lot. I kind of want to do something like this. And now I can take out Disciple of the Vaults a bit easier. I wish I had a little more hard removal. Like Edict specifically. Etched Champion is definitely spooky. Okay. So opening hand's a little weird. My opponent has mulliganed once. I have 2 lands. I have 2 strong plays that can cause my opponent a lot of damage. I have 1 Force of Will. I think this is okay. Like, it's possible that Null Rod is so good in this matchup that I'm not supposed to just keep a 7 that doesn't have a Null Rod. This is probably at least 6 points of damage. This is probably worth Force of Willing when my opponent is on the play. And I think I need Brainstorm to get to Sheoldred, I think. All right. We'll go Underground Sea and pass. I am probably just brainstorming. Metalcraft's on. Oh, God. I'll brainstorm in response. Well, I've found land. I think I'll bury 1 Sheoldred and put a land on top. I'm going to think about whether or not I want to just troll in my upkeep to shuffle. I think I do. The just regular old land I can get off of this does less damage to me. So let's just grab an Underground Sea and take a fresh draw. My opponent said something to me in chat. They said that they misclicked in response to my brainstorm, which makes me think that they actually have Orcish Bowmasters. So I think I'm just going to play around Orcish Bowmasters by not playing Ponder. And then next turn I'll just play Plague Engineer. A little weird, but I think I'm supposed to play around it. Yep. Successful read on the situation. Very thankful for both my opponent's misclick and my read on the situation. All right. This puts me at 14, which is really 12 because I've got Flooded Strand queued up. This is mostly good for me. It does mean that this orc lives through Plague Engineer, but, you know, it means I get 2 Bowmasters or the same number of resources. And I'm fine drawing a land, so I'm not going to preemptively fetch. Talion. So this is 9. And then we Plague Engineer, which is 7 off the second land. Orc. This does luckily reduce that to a 1 power creature. And now all we need to do is hit a land so that I can play Sheoldred, and then I offset the life loss from this. Sure. Opponent's Hellbent. Urza Saga is scary. It's one of my opponent's better cards for sure. I did not successfully hit my land drop. So I guess I'm looking for multiple removal spells for the Urza Saga tokens. Just trying to decide whether I want to brainstorm or ponder. This kind of changes the equation a bit. I think I'm going to ponder first. That's a Null Rod. Null Rod does not do anything against Urza's Saga, which is currently the thing that is going to kill me. I don't know that I want to take 4 for Polluted Delta here. I'm going to shuffle and look for removal spells. Okay, that's a removal spell of sorts. So now let's go a little deeper. Okay. Grief's no good here. I'm effectively at 3 life. Grief and Talion. Go back. Oh, fuck. If I put back Talion, I don't have Force of Will. Fuck. Okay. It might be correct anyway. Yep. I'm at 5. Fetch. I'm at 2. I'm going to preemptively Bowmaster and kill this token so that I can attack with this Plague Engineer this turn. I've got Sheoldred next turn to start gaining me some life. I don't know, maybe putting back Talion is just correct, or maybe I put back... Fuck! What are you? You're a soldier. Okay, yeah. That's pretty bad. Alright. I have 6 mana. Yeah, I'm fine if I have Talion in hand to Force of Will this. Damn it. 4, 5, 6 with Sheoldred. Okay. I've got an out. It's not pretty. I named Soldier. That gets me a turn cycle. And I just attempt to kill my opponent next turn. I have 4, 5, 6 damage showing, plus 2 for Sheoldred. I'm dead if my opponent has a Shadow Spear. The trample just gets me. I think I never win this one if my opponent doesn't misclick on the Bowmasters when I brainstormed. I think they always win that game if they do that then. Okay. This is fine. I can still win here. So we'll kill this. We take 1 from this. Go to 1. I can now just draw a cantrip to stay alive with Sheoldred. I think I have to keep this one on Soldier. Alright. Come on, Brainstorm. That'll do. Dark Ritual. Sheoldred the Apocalypse. Ponder. I don't think this is good enough long term. Let's shuffle that. Gain some life. Hardcast Force of Will is a thing. Ankh. Okay. My opponent's effectively at 6 life because of the Sheoldred trigger. Do I attack with Plague Engineer? I think I do. If I trade with Construct Token, my opponent gets to attack me for 2 rather than 1. No, let's have my opponent attack me for 1. I think. Oh, this game is tense. You're at 6. Yeah. That's horrifying. Am I chumping here? I might be just chumping with an Orc Army token rather than taking out the Construct token. Let's see. If I chump with this, I can attack my opponent with Sheoldred, Plague Engineer, Bowmasters. Hit my opponent for 3. Yeah, I think I'll chump and see where we end up. Brainstorm. Please. Swamp. So if I attack with Sheoldred, my opponent has to block 100% of the time. And then it's just a question of, like, what do I do beyond that? If I attack with Plague Engineer, my opponent's dead to Sheoldred triggers the following turn. But I die to Bowmasters. Okay, I think I attack with both. So this block is obligatory. This puts my opponent to 4, which means they're at 2. Ancient Tomb is off. I can now play a land, go to 2, block this, Force of Will, whatever my opponent plays. I'm at 2. I think we're good. I think I have wiggled my butt hard enough to get myself out of this situation. But damn, the margins were tight on this one. Ugh. So there's the attacks with both. Block with Bowmaster. Take 1, go to 1. Holy cow. What an awesome game. Okay, we're actually going to get to do one of the things the deck is designed to do, and that's play a Talion on turn 1 with this hand. Just Lotus Petal, Underground Sea, Dark Ritual, Talion, backed by Force of Will. This is very exciting. Sure. All right, here we go. Petal, Dark Ritual, do the thing. Wow, it's just happening. I choose 1. Just, we're playing against a blue deck. I pick the cantrip number. And we'll see if we can, like, string together some Force of Wills and Grief to protect this. No cantrip in response from my opponent or anything. I wonder if we're just playing against something like Sneak and Show here. This is a lot of protection. I will not be casting this Brainstorm because it's just so valuable to have double Force of Will protecting this card or stopping my opponent's combo. Sure. All right. Opponent's making some movement. Yeah, multiple Misties makes me think we're in Rug. No play. This is weird. All right, what are we doing? A Spirit Guide, like a Minsc and Boo? It is a Minsc and Boo. We will Force of Will that. It's possible we're playing against like a Rhinos deck, and like I have just chosen the absolute wrong fucking number for Talion. Force of Will again. All right. Send them. Opponent's got 1 card left. Yeah, like I very much think that like we've just randomly played against a matchup where Talion on 1 is not really going to do anything. Like, it's still just a 3-power flyer and might be good enough to get there just on those merits alone. We'll see. 5th land. Nothing. Sad aggro Talion. We believe. We stand 3/4 flyers. I'm going to hold this. Okay. I'll play that one now, because now this represents hardcast Force of Will. Send them. Opponent can no longer fetch, can no longer pitch cast Force of Will. Yeah, that's not surprising. Yeah, I think we are playing against like a Shardless Agent deck. Opponent's flooded out a bit. Note that an Orcish Bowmasters is just lethal at any point. Yikes. Let's go get some lands. Down to 13. See if my opponent's last card is Force of Will. That's something that it would really make sense for it to be. Yep. I'll hold both of these for Brainstorm purposes. All right. How bad is it? What's the damage? Damage is a lot. So this buffs Brazen Borrower for 4 points of damage here, and then my opponent is going to get 2 Rhinos. Or just take a quick look at the revealed card zone. Main deck Mystic Dispute, or Mystical Dispute. Rest of that looks pretty normal, although this isn't the most normal thing. All right, Bowmasters is lethal. Put back land. We're gonna try to dig 4 Bowmasters, because I am pretty close to dead here, even with like a removal spell, so let's just take a whole bunch of looks at Bowmasters. Put back 1 and 2. We'll now fetch. We get 2 Ponders. Sheoldred does not do it. I can't play Sheoldred this turn, and there's 11 damage on board, so we will shuffle these. That's a Troll. I get to ponder 1 more time, looking for Orcish Bowmasters. Oh no! Orcish Bowmasters is not in my game 1 deck! Fuck. No! Okay, I'm looking for a removal spell then. Damn it. Okay, let's salvage this. None of that does it. Reanimate? Opponent has no creatures. I have a Troll. I have a Talion? I reanimate Talion, I go to 3, I'm dead. Yeah, I was playing towards an out I didn't have. So let's look at the main deck. What was I supposed to do? I mean, I was supposed to be going for these 4 cards then. Fatal Push, Shoulder's Edict, Regular Edict. Okay. I don't think I'm super well set up for this matchup. I'm not great at dealing with 10 power across 3 bodies. Yeah, all I needed was a single Talion trigger, though. Like, just, it's a wrong matchup situation. Talions aren't actually super good here because my opponent has, like, mana costs very spread out. Plague Engineer for Minsk and Boo Hamsters is fine. Orcish Bowmasters is okay. I probably won't. Like, it's fine against Minsk and Boo specifically, but doesn't do a lot against, like, Murktides or whatever. So, conceptually, what am I doing in this matchup? Reanimate Troll or Grief Scam is probably the plan. Less so than, like, Sheoldred and Talion. This is a 4/5 for blocking Rhinos. One of these things early is still a lot of damage. I think I'm attacking my opponent's hand rather than the board. I think my plan is stop them from doing a thing and just aggro quickly. I don't think I'm going to try to answer stuff once it's in play. I'm a little unsure, though. This does not do anything. This is fine. I'm going to get rid of the troll and hope to ponder on turn 1 or a 4-drop that I can deploy on turn 2. See how this looks. Found Reanimate after pitching Troll. Classic. That is not what I am looking for. If my Brainstorm goes badly, I'm out of this game fully. Okay. Immediate Brainstorm. Let's try to fix this. I've got some sorcery speed stuff like Thoughtseize that I want to play. Sure. That's very bad. This is very close to just game over here. Like a huge portion of the time, my opponent just hits... Oh. Cool. Well, kind of cool, right? It just means my opponent has 7 pieces of gas in hand or very close to it. I can now Dark Ritual into Force of Will to disrupt something that my opponent does. But I need a new cantrip very badly. Okay. We're chilling. Sure. So my opponent is going to go for Upkeep, Violent Outburst then. So they'll Cascade. Found one very quickly. I'm going to pick up a basic just in case my opponent is mooning. I'll Dark Ritual. And attempt to counter. Alright, there's a Force of Negation that says no. My opponent has 8 power in play, and I don't have answers to that. So I think I'm dead. Like, we missed on a few things with this hand. I missed on a 4-drop to have the aggressive start that I wanted. And then my opponent had Counterspell backup for their combo attempt. So I think we're donezo. Like, my Reanimate is basically off. And then there's 4 more Rhinos. Yep. We can pack it in here. We're not winning through that. My hand has a reasonable mix of lands and spells that doesn't exactly have a plan. Like, with a Reanimate or a Dark Ritual or something, this hand can turn into something. I haven't gotten a feeling for how aggressively I'm supposed to mulligan with this deck. Like, the deck wants to just Dark Ritual big creature on turn 1 or turn 2. And if I keep this hand, it's not playing towards that at all. It's just playing towards pondering for a Reanimate specifically. I get 4 looks at that. 5 counting my next draw step. But if I don't specifically hit Reanimate, this hand's pretty medium. I am probably supposed to keep it. I think I'm also going to just Grief on turn 1. Junking Fatal Push. In an effort to make more informed decisions in my first turn cycle, in case I just have to ponder for Force of Will or I am dead. Fatal Push is just my least generically good card. Alright. Oh man, my opponent's hand is really good. So this game's not going anywhere fast. I'm taking one of Up the Beanstalk or Murktide Regent. I think I take Up the Beanstalk with the hope of answering Murktide Regent some other way. While Up the Beanstalk does not kill me, the card advantage is pretty nuts. Unless I have like a Sheoldred in play, but we're going to take the beans. So I am going to go for Underground Sea here, I think. And I'm going to go for Ponder. We can upkeep Troll Shuffle if I need to. If I only like one of these. My opponent has said this is something to talk about while doing Force of Will pitching Murktide Regent. I I don't think I like this play from their end. I think if their game is Thoughtseize me, punch a hole in what I am doing, and then follow up with Murktide Regent, maybe even as soon as the next turn, I think that's very strong. Whereas I think with this game, they're going to prolong the game. I'm not even sure if Brainstorm's the right choice there. I think you potentially just take the Troll and take me off of guaranteed second land drop. I don't know. That one's tougher. My opponent is playing Reanimate. I don't want to do this now. If they aren't playing Reanimate, I think I do want to do this now. And not show that my draw was Swamp. Alright, there's that. Not really sure if you're supposed to make Trop as land drop and then ponder. Doing so would play around a Daze, which is reasonable, but you lose the ability to sculpt better with the ponder. All right, Grief is not exactly what I'm looking for. I'm a little worried here that my opponent's slower things like Up the Beanstalk and Mystic Sanctuary are just going to have time to fire off. Oh, that's rough. This is not optional. I guess in this specific instance, this is fine though, right? Like, I cast the Dark Ritual. My opponent will end up drawing a card. Unless that card is a land, I just get to take it right back. Okay, it is a land. And I'm hoping that by the time I draw a Sheoldred or a Talion, I just have the mana to hardcast it so that, like, using the Dark Ritual isn't great. I'm only at 6 copies of those cards. Brainstorm, Ponder. Holy shit, they're offering up the Leovold for trade? Deal, 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 deal. Absolutely. Yuck. No, like, Leovold just shuts off too many things in my deck. Like, my cantrips are bad, my Bowmasters get worse, my Talion gets worse. I also open up the line of Reanimate there, Leovold. Sauron's Ransom. Here we go. So, how many copies of Mystic Sanctuary does my opponent have in their deck? Daze also just picks up Mystic Sanctuary to get this back. So it's possible that both of these piles end up having Mystic Sanctuary stuff. I kind of want to fuck with my opponent. I'm not going to lie. I kind of want to 3-1 split with a Misty as the non-revealed card. My opponent has said in chat, I'm taking the Murktide wherever you put it. Yeah, I think I'm going to risk giving my opponent some extra value and try to get my opponent. They put Misty Rainforest into the graveyard. I did not get them. Plan failed. Not great for me. We're low on gas here. Opponent has Witherbloom Command for the purposes of dealing with something like a Bowmaster, although it's not going to answer, you know, a Talion or a Sheoldred or whatever. Sorcery Speed Bowmasters. Sure. I think that's very reasonable. Okay. Force of Will not particularly strong in the face of Daze. I'm not even going to play out the Lotus Petal here. Alright, so drain 2 and get a land back. You get Polluted Delta. Okay. This is gone. I'm at 14. My cantrips aren't great here. I'm probably playing this as a land drop and dropping the Lotus Petal now, because then Daze is no longer stopping Force of Will. My opponent does have kind of a neat line where they could cast, like, say, a cantrip, hold priority, Daze, returning Mystic Sanctuary, and then pay. My opponent has 2 weak cards in hand right now. I think I just Force of Will this Brainstorm. Like, it's a little aggro, but I don't think I want my opponent to convert those into better cards. Like, I would like my opponent to have these cards and not Leovolds and Up the Beanstalks and Murktides. I'm down to 10 from this Bowmaster's hit. Would love, love, love to draw a 4-drop. Nope. Nope. I'm really not in bad shape. Okay, so that Polluted Delta fetch shows me that my opponent has 1 Mystic Sanctuary. Otherwise, I think you just 100% put another Sauron's Ransom on top of your deck. I'm at 8 from this. We're dodging Murktide, which is great. However, my top decks have not been solid. We're hitting a lot of land here. I'm at 6 from this. And opponent seems like they have control-based answers in their hand. Ugh. Well, we're going to try to stop that. I've just got to trade with something. And I think that's like a reasonable daze. Just like daze, take out this Lotus Petal. That's a 1-for-1 trade. And then you Mystic Sanctuary, put Sauron's Ransom or a Force of Will or whatever back on top. I'm at 4. Okay. Here we go. I think my opponent just has Force of Will. Like, I think this is a moot point. It's very good if it works. Let's not get excited. Let's not get excited. Yep. Killing Sheoldred with Sheoldred's Edict. How dare you? This is going to be a very good brainstorm. I think my opponent has had some mediocre cards in hand for a while. Something big is coming. Oh, just a draw 3. Yep. There are wastelands. At this point, I think I can comfortably concede with my opponent just having Cast Ancestral. So I want some additional answers to Bowmasters. My Reanimates are particularly good because they can take back some of my opponent's things like Leovold. I'm not really sure that I want to Force of Will in this matchup. Like, I don't super want to 2-for-1 myself. This matchup also just might be slow enough that I can operate on 17 lands without being a crazy person. Like 17 lands plus 4 trolls. I get less good at being the explosive early game deck if I board out the Lotus Petals, which is the thing that I want to do. Like, I can slow things down. I can try to Thoughtseize my opponent. Taking out Murktide Regent is super important. Having Thoughtseize instead of Lotus Petal to do that means that I don't just die as many times early on. It also gives me a chance to take up the Beanstalk. I think when I'm on the play, I'm going to keep Lotus Petal, and when I'm on the draw, if we make it to a game 3, I get rid of it. This produces Talion on turn 2. That's fine. The second Dark Ritual isn't very exciting. Not sure if I am supposed to immediately brainstorm or not. Played the wrong land. Supposed to play this one first. I think on that alone, I'm not just going to brainstorm immediately. Because now I can get Island and Swamp and play around Wasteland early on. I'll be at 18 after I grab both. Sure. Sort of humorously, not waiting to fetch costs me a tempting Talion this turn. If I waited, I could have gotten Underground Sea with the second, cast a second Dark Ritual, paid, had 4 mana, and Talioned. I think we'll just try again next turn. But we could have tried again this turn. I got punished a little bit for wanting to play around Wasteland. Got rewarded for playing around it now. So, Dark Ritual. Attempt Talion. I fucked up. There's a fringe interaction that can punish me here if my opponent Wastelands Polluted Delta and then dazes me. I needed to fetch. Did not get punished. Okay, what number do I put this shit on? 2? 2 is like Beans, Bowmaster, Witherbloom command. 1 is like Ponder, Preordain, Spell Pierce, maybe Flusterstorm. Let's do 1. Petty Theft. I'm thinking about whether or not I want to brainstorm trying to look for Force of Will. I'm gonna see. Nope, I do not want to do that. That occurs. We may end up doing an end of turn brainstorm to just try to guarantee the 4th land drop, and maybe I should have considered doing it at sorcery speed to play around Bowmasters. Sure. Yeah, we'll respond to that. Actually, will I? I can just, like, Fatal Push that. Yeah. No, I should brainstorm in response and then Fatal Push on my turn when it plays around Daze. Yeah, let's do that. This is also a great Daze target, potentially from... Ooh. Yes. This is great. Let's bury Edict and not redraw that, and put Talion on top to redraw Talion. And then Bowmaster's Resolves. I'm at 16. Let's go ahead and preemptively fetch. Get Swamp. Attempt my own Orcish Bowmasters. Bowmasters, your Bowmasters. Reanimate, target your Bowmasters. Opponent is not a fan of my basic lands right now. Bowmasters, take out your Orc. We don't have Fatal Push available right now, but we have 2 Bowmasters with different arts in play. Talion coming. We have Fatal Push for something like Brazen Borrower. Swamp Cycle? No, Island Cycle. That makes more sense. Yeah, these being a cantrip that doesn't get affected by Bowmasters is pretty damn good. Well, I mean, the backside. The backside doesn't. The whole draw 3 does. Witherbloom command? That is a Witherbloom command. Just like a super tiny thing. I think my opponent targeted the wrong Bowmasters. I think they're supposed to target their own Bowmasters, so they have an extra card in graveyard for the purposes of Murktide Regent. Okay, never mind. It was a wash. Both were dying. Then that's fine. It doesn't matter. Fantastic. So that just means I get to play Talion around days. Good shit. Bam. Bam. Is it just 2? Like Bowmasters, Witherbloom, Beanstalk? Maybe it's just 2. Alright, new land drop. I probably don't Fatal Push a creature that my opponent plays. Oh, another Lorien revealed. Rough. This is just 5 damage in play. Like, my opponent is very far ahead on cards. Oh, holy shit. Okay. Let's go. But I am very far ahead on just physical points of damage. I will reanimate your Bowmasters. Show me what you want to do about that. Nothing. Alright, opponent's at 10. I should have done that pre-combat for the extra point of damage. That is a dropped point of damage on my front. Murderous Cut happens. Looks like taking a card out of their graveyard was indeed relevant. It is a Bowmasters. Killing my Bowmasters. That's actually their Bowmasters. But I'll Fatal Push your Bowmasters for good measure. The stack clears. Nobody has Bowmasters. We still have some Orcs around. Talion did not successfully do any points of damage. Murderous Cut being a CMC 5. Just kind of awkward. I don't know that I'm... Oh, okay, so the Reanimates are now off. I think I've used 2 of mine already, though, so that's not so bad. Yuck. We'll ship in with this Orc. I think my opponent's now very far ahead. Like, they have 4 cards in hand to my effective 0 cards. I'm ahead on board, but I don't expect that a 3/3 Orc with no other abilities is going to beat my opponent here. It is yet another Bowmaster. Oh. Targeting my Orc? Why? Okay, same question. That one targets me. Are you playing some free spell that kills my Orc, or is this an error? Also, holy shit, I want to draw Plague Engineer so badly. Grief. Well, I guess we're casting it. And then, depending on what I see, I can kind of plan out whether or not I'm attacking. Force of Vigor? Oh shit, I think my opponent thinks I'm a Helm of Obedience deck. I mean, I'll take Brainstorm. I don't think I win the game by waiting because of this. I think I need to take the first attack step here. My opponent's at 4. And we'll see how they treat this turn. Okay, they're going full defense. Understandable. Plague Engineer. Sheoldred's Edict. So I have my opponent sacrifice a creature token. And then my attacks with both of these creatures is quite good. Sacrifice a creature token. Bam. Okay. Send in for theoretical lethal damage. So a block is required. It's probably a chump block on the Orc. Oh, shit. Double block. Okay. Opponent goes to 1. Didn't play their Brazen Borrower? Did they forget? You can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. Casting from exile's fine. I think they forgot about their Brazen Borrower. Huh. So I know a little bit more now. My opponent might be just immediately going and boarding out that Force of Vigor. I want this Plague Engineer. I think I'm getting rid of these Lotus Petals now. My opponent has shown me Spell Pierce, so like trying to just turbo go for it isn't as good. And like some Thought Seizes to make way seems more reasonable. I will be slightly more inclined to keep a mana heavy hand if it looks like this. Opponent is playing Grafdigger's Cage. Do I want to go down on Reanimates? Not really. Like, Bowmasters fighting Bowmasters matters so much. I could go down on Grief and keep this Fatal Push to be better against opposing Bowmasters. I could go down 1 Reanimate to hedge against Grafdigger's Cage specifically. This hand does not do anything fast, but it has multiple Talions. I'm going to try keeping it. Clock is not a Ooh. That's aggressive. It's, I think, fine if they have Lorien revealed in hand. I think it's totally fine and actively good if they have Lorien revealed in hand. Otherwise, that's just playing around like Dark Ritual plus Bowmasters in the opener. Oh, Thoughtseize is great. Let's do that instead of cantripping. Gives me a chance to take beans or something before they come down. So, do I take Lorien Revealed, rationalizing that my opponent is planning on shuffling with it in their upkeep? I think no. I think I take the Murktide Regent still. I just take the thing that ends the game. Let's take the thing that ends the game. All right, they were not planning on upkeep shuffling. Sure. I am interested in Sorcery Speed Ponder. If my opponent's top card was an Orcish Bowmasters they hid, so be it. I will give them that extra body. I don't think I want to Grief immediately. Spell Pierce. Aggressive, but fine. And I don't think I want to Grief attempting to take any of this as of right now. Sure. So now things are more interesting. I think I cast this Dark Ritual and cast Grief. And if I trade for Force of Will, I'm very happy with that. And I just use this to pave the way for Talion in future turns. Talion currently on 5 is really fucking good. Although my opponent might lose 1 or 2 5-drops in this turn cycle, depending on how they go about things. Force of Will pitching the Lorien Revealed, so Grief does get my 2-for-1. We'll call that fine and pass the turn. I think I do an upkeep Brainstorm and don't give my opponent more chances to draw Orcish Bowmasters to punish this, because I just always want to cast Talion next turn. Like, I want to do that for the next 2 turn cycles. The next 3 turn cycles, even. Understood. I think I stack it like that. Ooh, movement from my opponent. And a second one. Don't Leovold me. Don't do it. Damn it. Okay. That's fine. I can still get some value out of this, just not as much value as I might like. So we know my opponent has Murderous Cut. So I name 5. And I can have them lose some life. This is a that player, right? Yeah, this doesn't target. So my opponent can Murderous Cut on my turn to make it so that Talion does not draw me an extra card. See how they want to do this here. Bam. 14. I really wanted them to get rid of this. My hand currently does just jack shit with a Leovold around. We're going to take 3 from this combat. We're still at a pretty healthy 14. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, let's party. Hit you for 3 right back. So the Murderous Cut happens. Talion triggers. Deals my opponent 2. I don't get to draw the card. This is destroyed. Second main phase. We'll just do it again. And now I have to choose a new number. 2? Game's tough. Beans, Bowmasters, Witherbloom Command. Could just do 1 for cantrips. I'm gonna do 1 for generic cantrips. I need to get this Leovold out of play. Fuck, Lorien revealed. Oh, that's bad. So I still do have a 3/4 flyer in play. And a backup 3/4 flyer. Maybe I'm supposed to swing for the fences a little harder. I'm 1 land away from just casting that. Send them. Opponent's at 9. I think I pass turn rather than Troll Cycle. So there's another land drop. Plague Engineer. That presumably names Orc, although it could name Fairy or Noble if the situation over there is not good. It does name Orc. 3 incoming damage from Leovold. I'm at 11. Clock is surprisingly similar here. That's fine. That can go. Now that I've lost one of those lands, I think I do Swamp Cycle. Pick up the basic. I'm not just 1 land drop away from grabbing it. Yeah. 3 incoming damage. Opponent's at 6. The Talion life loss is very scary here. I am very close to on a 2-turn clock here. It's not exactly true. I'm at 6. This is 5 damage. I just have to consider things like Bowmasters. Oh, that's nice. Pre-combat? I think pre-combat. Okay, this is getting Force of Willed. That's okay. Alright. So I'm dead to Orcish Bowmasters. Let's see if my opponent has it. I have 5 damage and the 1 direct damage to my face kills me. I guess I'm also dead to Witherbloom Command. Ooh. Mystic Sanctuary. Targeting Murderous cut. Yeah, this Talion has not... This specific instance of Talion has not dealt any damage with this trigger and wouldn't have off of either 1 or 2. So, do I Brainstorm? I can draw 1 card going up to 4 cards, put 2 back going to 2. Actually, I don't have Force of Will, right? I don't have Force of Will, so I don't. Okay. I go to 1, and I can draw a Bowmasters to get myself out of this situation. I'm at 1. Draw. Blooded Strand. So Talion does not stabilize the board. It blocks Leovold. I die to Plague Engineer. So it has to be Brainstorm during my opponent's upkeep to find Orcish Bowmasters. Cast Brainstorm. It is a land. I am deterministically dead. GG's, we end up 2-3 in the league with Talion. Well, that was pretty fun, honestly. But I think there's some problems with the deck still, even after I patched it up a bit. So, first thing, Talion has a large amount of variance built into it. Even in Legacy, where a huge percentage of the stuff would be hit by naming 1 or 2, we missed a lot. And I had one matchup where I put it on 1, and my opponent had literal 0 1-drops in their deck, right? Like I turn 1 Talion, and then we were playing against a Shardless Agent deck. So this card is not guaranteed to be good and just fuel you through things. And it costs 4 mana. And not only is it 4 mana, it's 4 mana that locks you into 2 different colors. So just at a conceptual level, I don't know that a deck that looks like this one is correct to try out this card in. Now that said, is this crazy to try as a control finisher? Maybe not. Like, it is a 3/4 body, which will wall your Delvers and Dragon Rage Channelers and stuff. And it will be drawing you into more stuff, and control decks like stuff, right? And if it doesn't, it can still be your finisher. Like, that's still okay if it's a 3/4 body that you can hold back and block. But right now in Legacy, the bar for what's playable is really high, and I don't know that Talion quite reaches the bar. In terms of deck design, like, maybe playing a slower game and moving away from this package is better. Like, with the exceptions of, like, maybe that last round or two where, like, just Reanimate on Bowmasters all day was just the absolute shit and definitely what I needed. I don't know that we're, like, a super great grief deck, like, scam deck, because we don't really have room to play something else like Dalthy Voidwalker that will just go to the graveyard and make Reanimate a good early play. Generally speaking, I'm happy with my changes. The 17 lands felt, I think, better than 15 would have. And in some rounds where Lotus Petal was going to be bad for some reason, I was comfortable boarding them out because I just had enough innate mana sources. We did flood a few times, so, like, there's that. But I feel like the mana amount was approximately okay. It's a little awkward to be playing both a Grief and Force of Will deck that requires casting 4-drops. Like in the blue-black scam deck list where you're topping out at like 2 mana for a Murktide Regent or something most of the time. I think it's different. But I don't know that this deck can afford both of those. Sideboard cards felt good. Like I felt like I had good options. But ultimately, you know, is it worth playing something like Talion and greatly shifting up your curve and throwing Lotus Petal into your deck list? Like, is the power level of these 4-drops really there that, like, this is the best thing to be doing? Probably not. Like, there are some very efficient and strong blue-black deck lists, like Death Shadow as well. And whether or not you want to be playing Orcish Bowmasters in the main deck is a real question. But the answer is probably yeah. Card's really good. Regardless, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you need any paper Magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!